Corporate Director of Wellness. I'm very pleased to be part of this journey and initiative, and thanks for joining us. And we look forward to speaking to Mr. Paul Emery. Paul is a Bangkok resident practitioner, global remit for certain, and I've had many inquiries as to wanting to have people spend time with him, because you can imagine he's very bookable, and you have to spend one-on-one time with him for the most part, and he's made himself accessible today. And Paul is very certified with vast experience. He spent 10 years working for Chilasong, a visiting practitioner and a wellness guru traveling the globe through most wellness operations. We will have you back in the future for certain. As far as certifications, EF, NLP, ETF,
too many.
Too many. Lots of letters with you. Ultimately,
probably doesn't mean anything.
It means a lot. Ultimately, you're a optimal health performance coach, working with guests and clients, group and privately, to obtain a better overall well-being wellness with their lifestyles. I met Paul 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I reached out as I arrived at Bangkok 4 weeks ago, and we hit it off. We seem to have a very like mindset as far as wellness going forward, how to approach it, what's important, and how we can have the most impact. What I find most interesting so far, we'll get to know Paul better, is that in his early days, he says he was modeled after Jack Cranfield, and that was his kind of inspiration.
Yeah.
And many years later, it seems he's actually co-authored a book with Mr. Cranfield. So we have his book here today, one of a few books that we do have. And so with that, we'll start a conversation with Paul. And I think it's quite interesting and appreciative that this is Paul's third Global Wellness Day event of the day. So he's been involved heavily for many years. So how would you tell us about your morning?
I started at 10 o'clock this morning with Global Wellness Day. They're doing a 24-hour live stream around the world, and I gave a half-an-hour presentation on some of the things we're going to talk about today. So that was great. And then at 11:30, I was part of an online global conference, which has been streamed for 48 hours. And basically, it's for practitioners and trainers of some of the therapies that I do. Notably, there's one called Havening Techniques, which I'm sure you probably haven't heard of. We'll talk about that later. And so I did an hour and 15 minutes training some people about how to overcome stress and anxiety, working on acupressure points with your hands, not needles, and basically how to balance the mind and the body. So that's what I did for hour and 15 this morning. Most of today, and I'm here for an hour. So it's great to be here.
So the first thing I want to dive into is the book and your segment within the book. You specifically speak to and tell the story, as you put it, the story of Joe. Can you elaborate further on why that's relevant? And I think it's definitely more relevant today, given the global pandemic and COVID-19 and the circumstances that we're all under, with to an extent the compromised well-being and becoming more relevant and important to all of us.
Yeah. So I contributed a chapter in this book about health and wellness, and I titled it The Story of Joe. Joe is kind of like a typical executive, or typical stressed out executive, and going about his work and his daily life, virtually ignoring his family. And I know many people like this, so they come to see me. They've not had a holiday for 30 years. They work 12 hours a day, 6, maybe 7 days a week, and completely stressed out. But they kind of ignore their stress, they ignore their anxiety, they ignore their aches and pains. I think the best thing is to do is to soldier on, continue. It doesn't matter, they'll get over it, or their life will continue if they ignore their kind of stress and their anxiety, their aches and pains. But the reality is, it doesn't work in the long term. In short term, if you're overstressed and anxious, have some pain, you can ignore or try and do something about it, maybe take medication or do some meditation. But for a lot of people, it's not good enough. Okay? They need practical strategies and steps and tools that they can manage their own stress and anxiety. So that's what I like to teach. Do not rely on somebody else necessarily. Of course, people can come to see me, but it's good that you can, if you're feeling stressed or anxious or overly worried about something, or you can't sleep, there are tools and techniques, cutting-edge things these days that you can implement without having to meditate for years and years of your life, which is great to do, but sometimes you need something a bit quicker and a bit more immediate. So I help people basically manage their own symptoms, manage their own aches, their own pains, manage their own stress and anxiety, through various kind of methods. And so they're cutting edge things. One side of my work is based on ancient Chinese medicine, but it's kind of updated into modern psychology, modern pain relief. And the other side of me is purely based on neuroscience, brain science, and science, which is the behavioral techniques. And so I teach people how to use these techniques to overcome their stress, anxiety, depression, whatever else it might be, in between seeing me.
And that's a good point when you mentioned in between seeing you, because I really feel that there's a democratization of wellness, that everybody should take their own responsibility and their support mechanisms along the way, and part of their journey, educating them, spending time with them, and certainly crossing over the worlds. But ultimately, if you want to have a consistent level of well-being through wellness activities, to take ownership for them. Also seek out the education, because as we're aware in our busy lives, you're not able to always go to a retreat, always have a practitioner ready at hand. But I guess it's akin to having a personal trainer for physical attributes and advancement, to also go out and do your own activities and explore, get educated as well. Really that's where it's going as far as a platform, to be able to touch as many people as possible through that lifestyle and optimal health and fitness.
That's a good point. So many people, they have fitness coaches, or they're aware of fitness coaches, but they're reluctant to see maybe a mental health coach or something. So they immediately ignore their situation. Hopefully it gets better. Sometimes it does in time. Or they go for the medication. But what if there's something that you can do yourself, which is evidence-based as well? It's not woo-woo, what I do. It's based on science, and it's to empower them, basically. I believe people should be empowered to take care of themselves more often, and in between seeing a doctor or a practitioner or something.
And from an earlier age, I'm sure your clientele are not when you're 30 or 25. You ingrain it into a mindset as a mindset.
Yeah, rarely. Mostly 30s, 40s.
Okay, so you've alluded to advanced science, progressive techniques. So this is a little bit of straight talk about wellness as far as that's regarded. It's one of the things that we hit off about as well. And I think it's very pertinent to becoming more so going forward. And there's actually some retreats and operations opening up more about quantum physics, neuroscience, and exploring consciousness and how that relates to spirituality and your mental well-being and health. And you've developed a few techniques that were cutting edge at the time and still relevant in your remit, and you make great feedback about it. Can you tell us more about those also?
Sure. I mean, you're referring to the tapping?
Yes, tapping. You want
QEP, so a bit of a mouthful.
Whatever, all of them is.
Yeah. So what I do is called QEPR, which is Quantum Emotional Physical Release, and it's a name I gave to my treatment maybe 15 years ago. QEPR, simple name. And basically, have any of you heard of the tapping techniques, EFT or TFT? You've heard of it? Yeah. Anybody else heard of tapping? Yes. Okay.
We have some people who actually heard of it. Maybe it's
when I was doing this 15, 20 years ago in Chiba Song, nobody heard of the tapping, nobody heard of EFT. And EFT tapping is based on the acupuncture points, and it was discovered in the late 70s by a doctor called Dr. Roger Callahan. He was a phobia specialist in the States, and he had a patient come to him called Mary. Now Mary had a severe phobia of water. She would have nightmares several times a week that water was going to get to her. She said, water's going to get me, water's going to kill me. To shower, she would run in the shower and run out of the shower, literally that quick. Have a bath, she'd only have a bath in 1 or 2 centimeters. She couldn't bathe her children. She'd never been to the beach before. If it looked any chance like it was going to rain, she would stay in her home or office, wherever it was. So it was a pretty severe phobia. You can't imagine people would be completely terrified of water. She could drink it, but she couldn't look at it. She couldn't look at movies, anything related to water or the beaches or the sea. So she was in her early 40s when she got to Dr. Callahan. And basically, she went from different doctors and whatever there was around in the late 70s, not a lot, and trying to get over this phobia. Dr. Callahan agreed to work with her, and he did various forms of therapy. Something called desensitization therapy was the main therapy kind of used hypnosis. Desensitization, I don't know if you know, is if you're afraid of something, for example, people still do that today, by the way, is you're introduced to your fear slowly, a bit at a time. So if you're afraid of snakes, or spiders. I might say, there's a snake just outside here. You might go, oh my God, there's a snake. Don't bring it in. Or there's a spider, or whatever else it might be. And then the next week, we might bring it a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer. And it can take months, even years for some people, where they can go completely full in. And, I've seen it on TV where they really try to desensitize them fast. You know, this woman was afraid of birds, and they put her into an aviary with birds, and she was completely terrified. For me, that's torture. You know, it's not a way of overcoming fear or phobia. It's to force somebody to overcome their fear. For me, that's too difficult, and it's not an easy way. So anyway, Mary had this phobia. He did like desensitization, Dr. Callahan. Every consultation, he took her towards his swimming pool. So every week or every month, he would get closer and closer to the swimming pool, hoping that she would get used to the water. And after 18 months on this particular day, she said, Dr. Callahan, I can't bear this anymore. This is just horrible. I'm still terrified. She had made no progress. And she said, every time I walk near the water, I feel nauseous. She said, I feel the fear in my stomach. I don't know if any of you have ever heard that or even felt it, right? Have you ever heard the expression butterflies in your stomach, for example? You know, you get butterflies. But that's what she felt, this nauseous feeling. And so she said, Dr. Callahan, I can't take this anymore. I feel nauseous, sick, every time I think about when we go near a swimming pool. We're going to have to stop. Is there anything you can give me? Can you give me some medication? Anything, just for the nausea, to get the phobia, this awful feeling I'm having in my stomach. He said, well, I'm just reading about acupuncture. At that point, there's a little acupuncture doll. And I don't know if you know that in acupuncture, there are 14 meridians. Are any of you aware of acupuncture or acupressure? Have you ever had that? Or shiatsu? You've had massage, right? You're in Thailand. I hope you've had massage. So they're working on the lines. Senlek, I think it's called in Thai. And so there are 14 major meridians. In fact, one goes up the front, one goes up the top. It's like a superhighway, and they're mirrored. 12 this side, 12 this side. They run through all the organs, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidney, the spleen. I think they're well over 300 points. But the thing is that Dr. Callahan read this book, just like a layman's book I was reading. He knew that the meridians, they started here, so they start somewhere, and they end around the feet. Mostly they start here and end at the feet. So the beginning of the meridian is the most powerful. So if you go to acupuncture, acupressure, or shiatsu, they might do lots of different points, and that's okay, that's great. But for example, this is the main stomach point. Here it starts here, it goes over the head, down into the stomach, down the leg, and out the toe. So he said to Mary, well, I wonder if you've got some blockage in your stomach or tapping. And if you had acupuncture, they would put needles in for nausea, great for morning sickness and things like that. So he said, well, obviously we don't have needles or anything, but I wonder if, like in Japan, they use pressure. If you tap, maybe we can stimulate the stomach meridian and release the nausea. See if it helps. She said, okay, Dr. Callahan, if that's what you want. She was ready to do anything at that time. So she started to tap. In fact, she tapped both sides. So remember, they're mirrored. She started to tap like this, the stomach point. And after a few minutes, she said, well, I'm feeling a bit better. She said, that nausea seems to be reducing. Fantastic. Right. Keep on tapping. So she continued to tap like this. And after a few more minutes, she said, oh, that awful feeling in my stomach is gone. I don't feel nauseous anymore. I said, good. That's amazing. Then all of a sudden, she stands up. He looks at her. What is she doing? She stands up and she turns and looks at the swimming pool. And he's looking at her thinking, what's she going to do? And then she runs towards the swimming pool. And he's like, Mary, come back. What are you doing? And she said, the fear's gone. She said, I'm not afraid. Not only the nausea, but the fear. He said, it's ridiculous. Come back. And she said, well, I want to touch the water. Now, I've never seen this. She'd had this 40 years. And he'd known her for 18 months. But she went to the edge of the swimming pool. She didn't dive in, by the way, because she couldn't swim, of course. But she went to the edge of the swimming pool, and she splashed water on herself, and she said, I feel amazing. The fear's gone. So, very perplexed, and there was no placebo. I think nobody expected anything except for nausea. So the next week he called her. He said, Mary, okay, so your next appointment. She said, I'm not coming in. He said, well, what do you mean you're not coming in? Why not? She said, because I'm taking swimming lessons with the children. He said, you're what? She said, I'm taking swimming lessons. I'm not afraid anymore. She said, that night, I even drove past the beach. And I got out of the car, and I took a walk on the beach for the first time in my life. And she said, I just felt nothing. Okay. Maybe it's a one-off, it's a fluke, yes, you know that word. So, anytime anybody had some stress or anxiety or worry, they came into his clinic, he said, yeah, let me just try this tapping thing. They said, okay, doctor. So he tapped on them, and they thought, he's a bit weird, what's he doing this for? I come here for a chat, a hypnosis, and he's tapping on my body. But anyway, so he tapped, and you know what? It didn't work. 96% did nothing. Just tap, 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 tap. How did you feel? Same. Why would I feel any different? But for 4%, it worked fantastic. I mean, within minutes, they said, my stress, what I'm worried about, or whatever, I'd gone. He thought, well, that's interesting. If it works for Mary, okay, no placebo, no expectation, there's 4%, no expectations, but what's going on? So for 15 years, he studied all the different acupressure points, the major ones. So there are only 14, you don't have to know all of them, the major points. And eventually, after 15 years, he discovered that if you tap certain acupressure points, so remember this was just one for the stomach, we got rid of our phobia, nausea, so we feel fear in our stomachs, basically, that's why. There are other points and combinations that if you add another point, he doubled his success rate. Right? And maybe a third point, he tripled or quadrupled his success rate. So by adding different points that he researched and experimented with thousands of people, he eventually came up with sequences of points that if you tap these sequences of acupressure points in this sequence, you can overcome any emotional problem. As long as it's not chemical based or anything that damage to the brain or with drug or schizophrenia, anything like that. Yeah, but depression, PTSD, anger, grief, trauma, sadness, frustration, the whole thing. And the success rate now is probably around about 96% for anybody that comes to see me, for whatever that emotion is. 4%, I have no idea. I think there's toxin involved. And by the way, if you're feeling overly stressed or anxious or worried, it could be about something which could be addressed, right, with the tapping or something else we can talk about. By the way, so what Dr. Callahan discovered was that when you think about something, you obviously feel it, right? You feel the anger, or you feel that sadness, or whatever else it might be. That emotion, in acupressure, Chinese medicine terms, is blocked. It's not flowing. Emotion, energy in motion should flow through our bodies, right? You get angry, that's fine. You get sad, that's fine. But if you're angry about your ex-husband for 20 years, it's a bit much, right? Or something else that happened. Emotion should flow through you. You can get sad, but if you keep it for months or years, then obviously it's not moving. You've not dealt with it unconsciously or consciously. Okay, there can be different reasons. So he discovered anyway that when you think about something that upsets you, fear, phobia, whatever else it might be, and you feel it, it's not moving in the body, it's stuck. And what the tapping does basically is releases that. Okay, like acupuncture, it releases the energy starts flowing. So he discovered if you tap certain acupressure points, you think about, this is key by the way, you think about your depression or your anxiety or your stress or your phobia, it brings up that blockage. If you come to me and you say, I've got this fear of flying, and I did some tapping on you, and it happened to me once, in fact, I was doing the tapping and these points, they nearly always work, 96%, and I said, okay, how is it now? 0 to 10, by the way, I would say 0 to 10, how is your phobia, or your sadness, or your anger? People say 7, 8, if I think about my ex, or whatever. So I know where we are, we can calibrate at that moment. It's not like I would do my work and you won't know the effects, more or less you know the effects immediately. Like if I do the tapping or this other technique I will show you, then you would know, you would feel it kind of straight away, like, oh yeah, my anger is reduced, and it can be quite fast. So yeah, I was tapping on this person, and I said, how is it 0 to 10? They said, 9. Oh, okay, tap, more tapping on their points. How is it now? 9. Okay. Tap, 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 tap. How is it now? 9. Okay. And so I said, you are thinking about your fear, right? She said, no, I was thinking about what I was going to do later, and then I go shopping and see. And I said, okay. Think about that problem so you get the feeling, the blockage in your body. Then I do the tapping, and then it releases, basically. Any questions so far about this quick introduction? Tapping, might be a bit unusual. No? Okay, good. So, different sequences, unblocking the energy system. He discovered that when you think about something, there's a blockage in your energy system, the tapping releases it. It's now being used on hundreds of thousands of people. You know, I've used it on celebrities and sports people, and they do it themselves. And I saw a baseball player doing some tapping while he was waiting to go on. People use it for golf and all sorts of things to have, with their hips to calm themselves down. There's lots of scientific evidence about it these days. With people, we were talking science-based. People like to know: is it real? Is it work? You know, what's the evidence? And so now we've got a huge list of evidence-based treatments with people like that these days. And so that's why I kept this called my work quantum originally, because this is the energy system, the meridian energy system, atomic level. And I'm also working actually, I don't know how two by one go with this, but at the atomic level as well. It is energy-based. As strange as it might seem, I don't want to lose you here, but I've been doing some of this.
Well, I think it's good to reinforce what you're saying, that from a science-based perspective, everything is energy, vibration, frequency. And to discount anything you're saying, or anything that's happening in the wellness realm, would be close-minded. And we do need to unfold our brains and our mind to think that there's more at play that we don't see.
That's right.
That has an impact or an effect on us. And ultimately, it's another form of meditation. It's a form of coping. It's a form of resetting. And to some extent, it sounds like a cure.
Yeah.
Would have come in handy a couple of years ago when I went to Phuket. My wife was adamantly scared of snakes, so would have helped in that case. Yeah. Good.
So like I say, Dr. Callahan came up with various sequences. Some of them I use more than others. I mean, there's one for anger, there's one for phobias, there's one for frustration and depression. And you can combine them, so there's like a general sequence, or you can do them separately. Generally, for a thing, it could be anger, there are 3 points. Right? So just for an example, I would tap the side of the hand here, maybe 10 times. Now, the side of your baby finger, this is the main heart point, by the way, and it's the point associated with anger. So you tap here 10 times, here, and then under your collarbone is the soft point, this is your main kidney point. And I would try these 3 points. I'm really angry about this thing, whatever it is. I would tap these points on that person. This is the small intestines, by the way, doesn't matter. Baby finger, maybe 10, 20 times, and then here. And I would get a 0 to 10, how do you feel? And they would, wherever it was on that scale, I would keep with that sequence, or I would add a few extra points. Because they might say it's anger, but beneath the anger, with the anger, there could be sadness, or there could be worry, and things like that. So I can combine the points, and it's quite easy because, you know, I've obviously done it thousands of times, but the points are not that difficult, and you can't miss. You know, if you tap here, using your whole hand. I don't know if you see, but you know, with my model here, the points, obviously, the sides are needles, right? People use needles. If you use your hands like this, you cannot miss, okay? Or this, you can't miss. I mean, Mary, so that was right. I'm just going to give you a general sequence, if you like.
So with the sequence, that's good. It's a technique you use. Is it vary in its impact or result if you do it to somebody or if you do it on yourself? Is it variance on that?
Not. The research is really that there's not much difference. Some people, they do like the touch of somebody else. But in fact, most people when I work in these resorts like Chiba Sam in different places, I always say, do you want to do it or shall I do it? And then nearly everybody said, can you do it on me? I'm like tapping on them. So it's nice. But you can do it yourself, you can do it at home, and it works fine. So, how I got into this, briefly, is for 35 years of my life, I suffered from a social phobia. Social phobia is a fear of public speaking, but it's very intense and high anxiety for most of my life. Since I was 14, I was diagnosed. And I went to doctors, therapists, and hypnosis, and all these different practitioners, and nobody made a dent in it, not an absolute dent. And then I came across the tapping, and that basically cured me. When I found the secret, it cured me within 24 hours after 35 years. So that's why I'm very passionate about it. And of course, I see my clients, they get better and they use it.
You don't have that phobia anymore, so you a lot of speaking.
No. I mean, I've done live TV and everything, you know. I mean, I'm probably a little bit excited because I like doing this, right? But I'm not. I wouldn't be here. You know, if you would have asked me, I wouldn't be here. Put it like that. I tell about it in my book. And I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, so the sequence. So this is a general sequence it will cover most anxiety, stress, trauma. It's a general one, okay? I'm going to give it to you short. If you want to know later, you can email me or whatever, write it down, doesn't matter. But anyway, I'm going to give you the thing if it is useful. And it's the size of the hand, okay? About 10 times. Under your eye, under your arm, about 10 centimeters. And then under your collarbone, there's a soft one. You tap here. All you have to do is think about your stress or your anxiety or your work as you do this. In the mornings or in bed, it doesn't matter. As you think about that, to tune into that thing. By the way, we call spade a spade, you could say. You know, it's not like a lot of therapists where we kind of deny that we have the problem. You're feeling it. If you're feeling stressed or anxious or worried, you're feeling it. Not, I don't have this stress or anxiety or whatever. So whilst you're in that mode, you're feeling it in your body, that blockage, then you can do this, okay? Saying that, so we're tapping on the negative, one thing. You can also tap on the positive, right? It's kind of the flip side as well. People say, well, how can you tap on the positive and the negative? But it's quite easy because, you know, you're working on the unconscious mind as well as the blockages, and there could be something which maybe you don't believe that you can get over this problem, or there's some unconscious reason why you think you can't get better, get over the yips, or get over this phobia. So, you know, you can do the negative, like this phobia or this anxiety. I'm feeling anxious. You kind of say those words in your head or out loud. I'm feeling anxious. This anxiety, this anxiety. And then you can say, you know, something like, you know, I'm starting to feel more calm, more peaceful, more relaxed. I'm starting to feel more calm, more peaceful, relaxed. And if you do this for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever long, I mean, if you've had your problem for a long time, 10, 15 minutes a day isn't nothing, and you might be surprised it might go fast anyway. You might think, well, within minutes. I mean, I've done it. People's reactions have calmed down quite fast, you know, or it can take about a time, some time. My consultations are an hour anyway, but for some people they need a bit longer. Did I answer your question? I want to talk about the other one, of course.
That's it. That's very interesting. I'm sure you've had profound effects on large populations of people and changing their lives, which must be very rewarding. Yes. To do what you do. Another element of what you do, and I think it's worth talking about, is nutrition, as far as the integralness of its to our systems, to our performance. And one part that doesn't get discussed very often, I think a common term or conception people have is, well, 80% of the diet is in the kitchen. Right? But there's more to it than that. And you help people with diet or emotional elements as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Not diet, but nutrition and weight cutting.
Yeah, weight loss, healthy, whatever. I mean, because actually with weight loss, it's a mindset. I mean, it's not really, you might not believe this, but it's not what you're eating. Okay, I'm not going to go against your doctor something. Eat this or don't eat this, right? You know, there are plenty of people that eat junk food and they're still thin. I know supermodels and they eat terrible food.
Maybe not so healthy. We speak about weight, yes.
I know, yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, eat as healthy as you can and that sort of thing. But it's more emotional eating, for example. It could be because you're stressed or you're anxious or worried. And it's not necessarily the thing that you eat. Of course, if you eat hamburgers every day, then that's not a good thing. I would recommend you do some tapping or something to get over that, but you can. Right? If you have a craving for something, like you can't stop eating chocolate or crisps or whatever it might be, and you tap these 4 points, you're with a good chance of that desire, that craving to reduce. Even for cigarettes and things like that, and alcohol, I use it for. Maybe sometimes different things, but again, I want to keep it simple. It's quite a good sequence. Think about the thing you don't want to eat so much of, and do this. And think about that chocolate, or that bread, or whatever, and the feeling will start to reduce. You say, I can leave it right now. I don't want to eat that chocolate, or that bread, or whatever else it might be, or that cigarette right now. And if an hour or so later it comes back, then you do some more tapping. Because, you know, there could be some stress and anxiety behind that craving, that desire for a cigarette or alcohol or food. So by doing the tapping, you are thinking about that thing, but you're also unconsciously relieving the stress and the anxiety which is behind that thing which you desire, right? So it could be emotionally, I'm bored, well, I'm stressed, I'm lonely, well, whatever. Do the tapping and see what happens. You just say, well, I'm okay, I'm all right to do that. So, you know, it's very effective for cravings. I work with many people who have chocolate addiction, and I think, you know, eating chocolate, eat whatever you like, it's good. You know, but if it's too much, people eat, you know, I know somebody who drinks 1.5 litre of Diet Coke every day. And it's just not good. You know, one glass, if you want it, is okay, but it's too much. So it's all about moderation, of course, and the tapping will help bring you emotional balance. So it's about cravings, emotional eating. There could be some trauma around food, or you know, people will eat fat, or this, or that. If you're not feeling good about yourself for whatever reason, if you do the tapping, again, different areas, that you can overcome those, maybe some trauma behind the weight gain, for example. And talking about weight loss and everything else like that, it's not what you're eating, it's the quantity, right? And that's it, right? If you want a piece of cake or a piece of chocolate, eat it. If you eat a whole big bar of chocolate or a whole big cake, you eat it every day constantly, then it's a problem. Now, naturally, thin people eat whatever they like, and that's a fact, and that's scientifically proven, right? Diets have a 91% failure rate. I don't know if you've ever dieted, any of you, but research documented 91% failure rate. So something that has a 9% success rate, you can keep doing it. Millions and millions of people keep doing it. Why? It's great. Everyone can lose weight. They can eat salads and eat healthy, which is great. Can you keep doing it on a consistent basis? That is the key. 9% can. They can live on salads and everything else like that. 91% can't. And if they can't, then why not? What's going on? Is it the emotional eating, is it stress or anger or whatever else is going on in their lives? So that's where the tapping is, that the technique comes in. And if you do the tapping, then you naturally gravitate towards more healthier food. Right? So you want to eat more as healthy as you can. So these things.
Yeah. Emotional eating is tied to ritual and habits as well, which underlying, which you recognize that you stop and you question, I guess, as well.
That's right, yeah. You just stop and take a moment to, why am I eating this? You know, put a question mark, post it on the fridge or wherever. Just before you go there, say, why am I going to the fridge? Am I bored? Am I stressed? Am I angry? Or whatever. And then
if you want it, that's fine.
Yeah, if you want it, listen to your body, of course, that's the key. You know, and the number one secret to weight loss, anybody have an idea what that might be? I think you might know, but you're not doing it. But if you're not happy with your weight and you're not doing it, then you don't know it. You might know it intellectually, but you don't know it. And that is, eat slowly. That's it. Eat slowly. That, I'm afraid, is it.
I'm the fastest eater in
That's right. It's not what you eat. If you eat a piece, I don't know what your favorite thing is, chocolate or cake, doesn't matter what it is. You eat it really slowly, like a gourmet chef. How would a gourmet chef eat? They like look at it. I work with some gourmet chefs. They taste it. Oh, it's a great cake. Oh my God! And savor it, and then have another piece. Right? Slowly. And people say, I like my food. But if you like your food, eat it slowly. Why would you eat it fast? It's a lovely piece of gâteau. Eat it slow. You're going to enjoy it more. And I bet you won't be able to finish it. Because maybe it's not as good as you think it is. Because you're really tasting it for the first time. Instead of eating so fast. You know?
It reminds me of the Japanese lifestyle and the diet. And actually, Japanese have the longest one of the longest lifespans globally, and they eat ritualistically. They eat till they're full. There's a term, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the case inside. It's an obviously a Japanese word for it, where they eat methodically. They wait till they're full. It's very purposeful treatment eating style.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're eating very healthy.
Right. And there's a bit of a trend these days, but you know, it's nothing else to it apart from eating slowly and do the tap if there's over cravings and stuff or whatever. You know, but that's it. Savor your food. Eat. Just think, I'm a gourmet chef. How would a gourmet chef eat? So eat whatever you like. Yeah. But eat it slowly, and you probably more than likely won't be able to finish what you're eating. You'll eat less. You're retraining your body to feel the signal from the stomach. Most people who are overweight do not hear the signal from their stomach to their brain to say enough. I mean, that's why people overeat. They just eat and eat and eat because they're not listening to their body. They're eating so fast, the signal's not coming from the stomach to the brain. You've overridden it. You've got 15, 20 minutes to get to that signal. If you finish your meal in under 20 minutes, it's too late. And then you say, oh my God, I'm so full.
So essentially, the diet is to not feel full. That's the diet.
If you eat slowly, you're going to feel full quicker because you're going to listen to that signal. The signal's going to go, hello, Paul, enough, and two. So even slowly, you get to hear that signal. It becomes physically impossible to eat too much. So you've got to retrain yourself to just eat slowly. People say, well, I've always eaten fast, and I can't eat slowly. Well, if you're interested in losing weight, you have to. Or you can continue with the dieting, which you've done before, and it doesn't work. If it's worked, great, you're in that 9% and you're fantastic. But if you dieted before and it hasn't worked, why do you keep doing it? Why do people keep dieting when it doesn't work? There is no magic diet, otherwise everybody would be doing it. But people who do this conscious eating, we call it mindful eating now, right? They eat slowly, they lose weight and they keep it off, and it's simple. You're not counting calories, that's just making stress and anxiety. You know, I work in a place and it says 10 calories from here to the restaurant. Well, who cares how many calories it is to the restaurant? It just makes you feel stressed and anxious. Oh God, how many calories is this? And I was working in Shiva Som and I was sat next to a woman and I ordered some garlic butter. So it's butter made of garlic, it's just garlic. And she turned to me and she said, how many calories is that? And I said, I don't know, 10? Waiter, yes. How many calories is full garlic? 7, madam. And I knew. And I heard her say she couldn't wait to get out of Shiva Som and have a pizza. She said, I can't wait to get home and have a pizza. But you're worried and stressing about 7 calories? 7? I mean, come on. Yeah, so it just makes you, food is to be enjoyed, right? You know, food, occasionally enjoyed. Yeah, it's to be enjoyed, not, well, how many calories is that? And, I mean, you're great, cut down on fat if you want to and salt and all those other things. I'm not your doctor. But it's to be enjoyed, to enjoy it, eat like a gourmet chef, show it down, listen to that signal, and when you think you've had enough, stop. But there are 4 golden rules, is, I can remember them, is when you're hungry, eat. That makes sense, right? Are you following the 4 rules? Are you hungry when you eat? Or are you eating when you're not hungry? Yeah? Rule number 1, are you hungry? No. Why are you eating? Oh, okay. Rule number 1. Rule number 2, very controversial, eat whatever you want. Unless advised by your doctor. Because deprivation makes you want it more. If I was to say to you, no more cake or chocolate, whatever it is you like, never eat no more cake, you're going to go, okay, well, I'll give you a week. If that, I don't know, you're going to go, I just can't stop thinking about chocolate. And then you're going to binge, and then you're going to put on weight, and then you go, okay, the diet's over, I'm not going to eat more anyway. So don't deprive yourself, you can do some tapping or whatever, or slowly eat it, right? It might not taste as good if you eat slowly. Thirdly, third one is now, eat slowly, it's the third one. And the fourth one is stop when you think you're full. What do you do an hour later if you're hungry? What's rule number 1? Go and eat. Eat slowly. Alright? If you're hungry in another 2 or 3 hours, just follow those 4 rules. Just follow it. If you're hungry, eat. If you're not, don't eat. Am I hungry? I'm not sure. Okay, you can do a little bit of tapping, by the way. It could be just emotional hunger. I've done that many a time. People come to me for some stress, and they say, oh my God, I'm just so hungry, I'm on a detox. And I say, okay. I've done a tap these 4 points, and they say, the hunger's gone. Wasn't real, I mean, it's just emotional hunger, I call it. You can just tap these 4 points anyway. Or just eat it slowly and see how you feel. Maybe you don't want it anyway. So those are the 4 rules. You follow those. I mean, they're a bit more intricate, obviously. I do a whole consultation on them. But that's it. If you follow those things, here you go.
Sounds simple now.
Simple. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Those are all my questions for you. I think we had relevant content, and thank you for the dialogue. Unless anybody has any questions for Paul, anything quite relevant that they'd like to ask or talk to you about. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Actually, I just want to mention something else, just a few more minutes. So we got the tapping, which is great. It's called TFT. Some people know EFT, which is called Emotional Freedom Techniques. This is called TFT, Thought Field Therapy. Look it up, or you can email me, call it quantumepr.com, or you can get it from me. And I got some videos on YouTube, of course. One of the other techniques, that's based on energy medicine and quantum, and the other one is based on neuroscience. It's called Havening Techniques. It's amazing. It's a game changer in psychology and pain relief. It was demonstrated at the United Nations. People loved it. There's scientific studies going on at King's College in London. It's fantastic for PTSD and trauma and depression, a whole host of emotions. I probably do it a good 60 or 70% of the time. And based on neuroscience, the doctor came across the tapping from a colleague of mine called Paul McKenna. Came across the tapping, he used it, and he didn't believe it. He said, well, it's ridiculous, you just can't tap. I'm a doctor, he's a left-brain neuroscientist. You just can't tap on the body and overcome stress or depression. But he used it on some of his clients, and it worked, and he was amazed. It was fantastic. So, being a brain doctor, he said, what's going on in the brain? I want to know what's going on in here. So for about also 15 years or so, he studied the brain and what touch does to the brain. And we're hardwired for touch, for hugging babies, those kind of things, right? We're hardwired for touch. It's one of the oldest medicines in the world that is not recognized so much these days. Everything's don't touch, you're going to get sued, and this and that, you know, all talk therapy. But energy medicine and touch therapy is the oldest in the world. If you're upset, somebody might come up to you and go, you okay? Why would they do that? Why would they go there, by the way?
Instinctively.
Yeah, instinctively. Yeah, or it might have some points, or you're holding your hand at certain points on your face. Anyway, so he discovered that there are three main areas of the body that if you actually do this, the not tapping, if you do stroking the arms, you can stroke the face like this, stroke the hands, no other part of the body. This, so this is neuroscience, I'm just going to tell you briefly, because I think it's important. Not many people know about it in Thailand. Is doing this, we have receptors all over the body, it activates a very slow electrical wave, right? We have like impulses. Electrical wave to the brain, delta wave. This slow delta wave goes to the brain and releases an enzyme in the brain called calcineurin. This enzyme's job is to de-link emotion in the brain. So when you have some kind of stress or trauma or everything, it's located in the amygdala, it's the emotion center of the brain, the amygdala. And we have receptors connected to whatever your emotional thing is, could be some trauma, stress, or anger, doesn't matter what it is. It gets coded in the brain, chemically coded. Whatever your stress and whatever it is, it's chemically coded in the brain, the amygdala. We have receptors. And these receptors are actually active for about 15, 20 minutes. So if you take a second to think about something that worries you or stresses you out, and those receptors are up and you're feeling those emotions. And then if you forget about it, those receptors kind of recede. But they're always there because they're hooked to your amygdala. They kind of like glued. They're there permanently. If you think about something which happened 30, 40 years ago. I worked with a woman who was in her 80s, and she had a trauma for 50 years. And that's how long she kept that trauma. I said to her, you know, is there anything which makes you feel angry? She said, yeah, 50 years ago my husband left me. I said, okay, 0 to 10, how angry are you about that? And she said, 10. For 50 years. I mean, let it go, you know? So her receptors are like, just think about it. 15 minutes, that's why you can kind of calm down in 15, 20 minutes. Anyway, this enzyme's job is to go to those receptors which have been activated by thinking. So we're going to think about some stress or anxiety or trauma. Your receptors are activated. This enzyme's job is to come along and de-link the receptors from the amygdala. So let's say they're glued, right? This enzyme comes along, dissolves those receptors, emotions specific to whatever that specific emotion is, and releases it back into the body. And so you cannot ever get that emotion back. So it's amazing. So you think about a problem, you do this, or you do this, or you do this, activates this enzyme. And the important and the great thing is, and I use it most of the time now, is whilst you're doing this, you don't think about the problem. So people come to me and they say, I'm stressed or anxious about this. They talk to me a little bit about it. They're activating those receptors. And then I say, forget about it. Okay, put it out of your mind while I'm doing the treatment. Normally I do it on the arms, the face, the hands. And we talk about something completely different. We don't need to keep thinking about this. We don't need to keep reactivating this. We just think about walking on the beach. What's your favorite holiday? What's your favorite movie star? I talk about anything, but you don't need to keep activating. It's already active. This enzyme is already doing its work. You don't want to keep activating. So when I'm doing this, we're talking about something nice, and maybe counting, or you might do a few mental things, count backwards from 50 by 5s. All the time I'm doing this. And I might do it for like 10 minutes. And then I'd stop and I'd say, now think about that problem which you have. How does it feel? And 99% of the time is at least 50% reduced. They say it was from a 9, now it's a 4. With no work. I mean, it doesn't really take that much work. No work for me, not what they work for them. They told everyone. And I just continue to do that as well. I just wanted to mention this because it's really an interesting thing. Havening techniques. It's, I mean, the tapping is great, but you know, you've got different points. And this is based on neuroscience. I've got some videos on YouTube. Paul Emery, QEPR. Look at it if you're interested in overcoming some stress or anxiety and using it yourself. It feels great and it works. And it's, you'll be hearing a lot more about it. You know, that's why I did a conference today in New York. It's based in New York. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you very much. It's something useful.